We've been bringing you the Earth 1 storylines. We've already done Batman and Superman, and one of the requests that you guys said was that we should do all the Volume 1s, then you decide where we go after that. Well, today we're going to be covering Wonder Woman Earth 1. And this is kind of cool because it's a similar story to what you know, but it's got just enough changes that you won't see what's coming. Long before the paradise island of Amazonia, the women of Greece lived lives subservient to men. The Amazons were forced to work as Hercules, the man god, made Queen Hippolyta kneel before him in the mud. Hippolyta prayed to Aphrodite to give her strength, and her call was answered. Aphrodite said that she must reclaim the stolen girdle, for it is what protects her from this mortal man god. In that brief moment of time, Hippolyta reached out and took what was hers, and then she submitted to Hercules. As Hercules fell to her body, he tells her that the other Amazons will know that this is what Hercules has made of her. And she leans in and whispers to him, he has made her patient. With her chains, she wrapped them around the man god's neck and strangled him until his body stopped moving. The men of Greece heard the struggle, and as Hippolyta puts on her girdle, she tells her sisters to spare none. The Amazons fought for their freedom that day, casting aside the shackles of man to be slaves no more. It was time for them to leave man's world, for them to live in a place of peace, a world that bears no mark of man. 3,000 years pass, and the paradise island Hippolyta sought to create thrives. However, this day, Queen Hippolyta holds trial for one of her own, her daughter, Diana. As the Amazons take Diana out, she is bound and chained, and told that she is under arrest by the queen, her own mother. Diana tells them that she understands what she did, it was her decision to make. Later, as she stands in the trial arena, accused of breaking ancient vows and laws, the fates will bear witness to her defense. Two Amazons come out and they begin to wrap Diana in the lasso, and Hippolyta tells her that she is now bound by truth's lasso, and henceforth she may tell no lie. Let the trial commence. Diana looks at the rope and says, why would she lie? Whoever taught her to lie. As she recalls, it all began on the night before the Huntress Moon, at the festival. Dindra the deer had hurt herself in the cliffs, and she required Althea's purple ray and its omni-healing frequency to mend the deer's wounds. As she left, Althea asked if she will be at the games this year, for they all knew that Diana was forbidden to participate. Her royal strength and endurance would give her an unfair advantage over the women of Amazonia, so she'll sit back and play her usual role. Later, as the queen watched the scenes from man's world, in her mirror, she saw all of the destruction and the violence that raged on. It was through her magic sphere that she could see the rest of the world and the horrors that came with it. Their masculinity is but a sad and broken aberration of nature, always yearning for what they cannot be or own. Diana had often wondered what it was that her mother had seen in those brief moments in the mirror, the strange language that she had heard. But Hippolyta would tell her that she would learn of it one day. Hippolyta then went on to reminisce on the day that she brought her dream to life, made out of only clay and the magic of a god, the day that she had her daughter. Diana tells her yes, she was a clay figurine brought to life, and that is all she will ever be, dirt that imagines it's alive. Hippolyta says that it is simply not true. She is her wonder child, a gift from the gods. And Diana wonders, asking, for what purpose? To be the eternal, unchanging princess of this fantasy island? Hippolyta tells her that they have spoken on such matters many times, and if she needs counseling, it is available. Diana shouts that that isn't what she needs. What she needs is to be in the games. And while the two have the same argument they often have, Diana reaches back for the mask of the oppressor, to fulfill her role for the coming night, as she always does, to be the oppressor, as they reenact the events that gave the Amazons their freedom. Once the stars came out, it was the beginning of their festival, and it started like it always does. It was a time of celebration and to be merry, to show who's strongest in their contests, and to show appreciation for the lives that they are given. But then, the lion appears to challenge the women's assurance and certainty. Diana laughs loudly as the women all chase after her, and just as it's been for the past 30 years, the women are no match in finding Diana. It is after escaping that Diana found something that she never once has seen in person, a human. A male human, and he is washed up on their shores. The man was injured, so Diana brought food and the purple ray to see if its healing light would have any effect. The man struggled trying to understand where he was and what was going on, but Diana quickly began picking up from the man's language. She handed him fruit, telling him, I'm Diana. The man, Steve Trevor, asked, where is this? Rio? And the more he talked, the more Diana couldn't understand. She then began to ask if he was really a man and started to check. Steve asked if she could remove her hand from there and asked, where is he? She continues with his pain and she attempted to heal him, but it would seem that the purple purple ray has no effect on men. The other Amazons would certainly kill him, so there must be something that she can do to help him. The next morning marked the beginning of the contest of strength to decide who among them would be the champion. And just as the games began, Diana appeared, still in character, challenging the women to a fight. The women all attacked with their weapons, but with little effort, Diana deflected every shot. The next battle was to be on the back of the congas, and as Diana knocked Mala off, Mala says that it isn't what's supposed to happen. Diana then lunges off, pinning Mala to the ground, and announces that there, she has bested the champion of Amazonia and therefore demands tribute. Wide-eyed, Hippolyta stares, stating that this is the first time in a millennia that there is a new champion. Diana states that she would claim Mala's swan plane, and Hippolyta says that the robot plane now belongs to her and her alone. Hippolyta holds up the champion's laurel and tells Diana to come take what is hers. The women in the crowds begin to boo, shouting that it is unfair and they can only lose to Diana. And as Hippolyta crowns the victor, she quickly tells Diana that she is required in her chamber immediately. Later at the queen's chambers, Hippolyta shouts, stating that Hercules is supposed to yield to Mala in loving submission. Diana yells back that she is tired of playing the same role forever. She is tired of being Hercules. There's a bigger world out there and all she wants is to be her own person. As the image in the mirror begins to change, Hippolyta asks what is it that she seeks? The barbarous ruin that is man's world? What happened to her daughter? Why would she humiliate her sister Mala? There's a smell on her, a smell of something that she remembers. Diana soon takes her leave of the chambers, and as she does, Hippolyta watches and says that there's only one explanation for this madness: a man. Hippolyta announces to the Amazons that a man has come to Paradise Island. Follow Diana and find him, and she races to the cave where Steve Trevor is hidden, helping him onto the aircraft just as the others arrive. Mala sets her sky cycle down, stating that they were supposed to be together, and Diana turns to her, stating that she is the princess. They must all bend to her will, and this man is under her protection. As the hatch closes, Mala shouts that to leave the island is forbidden. They will be forced to shoot her down. And as Diana sits in the pilot's seat, she tells Steve that Mala is the greatest of the Wonder Women and her lover. He better be worth all of this, so whatever he does, don't let her down. Steve sits back, stating that the USA is a long ways away, northwest. These women are kind of hostile too. Diana tells him that men are forbidden to set foot on their island, and if they catch up, they're probably going to kill him. She then asks, are you ready for an outrageous adventure, Steven Trevor? I know I am. Through the storm surrounding Amazonia, Diana flies towards the mainland, asking if this is USA. Steve asks, how fast is this thing? And Diana tells him that this robot plane flies as fast as Hermes, the messenger of the god. They will make it, she promises. The more that she speaks, though, the more her language skills improved, and Steve asks, how is she learning to speak English so quickly? And she tells him that she listened and learned. A short while later at the hospital, Diana walks in holding Steve's body, stating that she's done all that she could. Steve needs man's medicine now. Back in Amazonia, Nubia asks Hippolyta if she's sure about this, and as the two blindfold themselves, Hippolyta says to be quiet. The slightest whisper will arouse the serpents of the lady. As they reach their destination, Hippolyta calls out to the Queen of the Gorgons, and a hissing sound can be heard from within. Hippolyta tells Medusa that she needs her daughter reminded how frail and temporary the flesh of man is. And over in the hospital, the doctors begin to treat Steve, and Diana tells them that she can help. The doctor tells the nurse to please remove this young woman, and Diana asks the nurse, do you only allow men to minister your own kind? As the doctors roll Steve away, the nurse stops Diana, telling her that they have alerted his superiors in the military. Captain Trevor is in the best hands. As Diana stands there, she looks at the nurse's hands and says that they are so small and sickly. The nurse heads over to assist the doctor, stating that they cannot have her wandering around this place. And Diana looks around, asking how much worse can this world be? However, Diana does what she is told not to do, and she wanders around the different rooms. She stops one by one, seeing several women being treated, and tells the nurses to allow her to help. She is a specialist. Inside one of the curtains is a frail older woman, and Diana kneels down beside her, telling her that she is proud to be by her side. Please, what is her name? The woman grips Diana's hand, telling her that she is an angel, and slowly draws her final breath. Diana turns back, asking why are their sisters dying? Their lives, their wisdom, lost forever, unrecorded. What world is this where women perish alone and afraid, or cower before the whelp of a man? She should be here. There is so much violence and pain and noise all around. And as Diana runs outside, she is stopped by the military, all pointing their guns at her. She tells the men that they are sons of Ares, the boyish god of war. Like ants, they blindly march while beautiful women suffer and die unheard. The commander shouts to Diana to stay where she is, and she asks, by whose command? Yours? She lifts the jeep that they are in, stating that she thinks not. Men are so easily impressed by strength. She sets the jeep back down, and she walks through the crowd, and one of the soldiers grabs her, telling her to wait, honey. She throws the man to the ground, boarding her plane, asking, must you prove my mother right? Tell Steve Trevor that my name is Diana, and your world has nothing that I need. Back in the current times, as she's continuing her story, Hippolyta tells her to step down. They will now hear from the one that they call Elizabeth Candy of Man's World. Through the shadows, Beth says that she warned that the girls here were kind of kinky. Guess she was right. Candy stands on the podium and calls out to the crowd, and Hippolyta tells her not to disgrace her sex with vulgar exhibition. She is here to speak and explain how how it is she came to meet Diana. Beth is then wrapped in the lasso, and Beth laughs, stating, "You don't need a golden rope to have her tell the truth. This is the true life story of how the Holiday Girls escaped certain death." It was a dark and stormy night as the girls of Beta Lambda sorority were on their way to spring break. Lightning had struck, causing their bus to swerve off the road and down the cliff, and there was something that stopped the tumbling. Diana was the one that stood there holding the bus, asking if everyone was all right, and it was from there that they all became good friends. As the girls got off the bus, Diana had explained that this storm was her mother's rage, and then asked, what has the man's world done to their bodies? Beth told her that she happens to think that her body is the best that it's ever been, and she really hopes that her and her circus are on the way to Fort Lauderdale. From there, Diana helped tow the bus the rest of the way. Meanwhile, over at the hospital, Steve's superiors asked exactly what happened, and what happened to their $100 million aircraft. Steve told them that he flew it into a freak hurricane and landed on some uncharted island in the Bermuda Triangle. As for the women and the rest, well, he doesn't remember everything. Suddenly, the men begin to hear something and they ask what's going on, and Steve smiles, telling them to go verify for themselves. That's gotta be his angle, his Wonder Woman. Diana then walks in telling Steve that she is neither his nor anyone's. She needs answers to her questions, like, how did he come to Paradise Island? This broken world must submit. All will be clear. A short while later, the superiors return, telling Steve that they have arranged for him to stay in the hotel with that woman, and he has to get to the location known as Paradise Island. Is that clear? Steve looked at them and told them, yes sir, never clear. Over in the hotel, Steve told Diana that this is the wrong time to be talking about changing the world. Those men are trigger happy at the best time, so lay off the feminist jihad. There's a knock on the door and Diana opens it, taking the small package from the bellboy, telling him thank you. Steve looks down, telling her that her English has gotten really good. He didn't mean to offend her or anything, and he's never gotten around to thanking her for saving his life. She shuts the door, smiles, telling him so he can thank her now. To save a life is to be tied to that life. Know that she will take care of him and keep him from harm, but first, she holds out a spiked collar and says, you must be willing to submit to loving authority. Kneel, for we are bound. Steve just stares at it, and Diana asks what? And after that situation, Beth and the others came by to give Diana a makeover, which Beth says that the majorette suit was her idea. Diana stepped out in her new garments, asking what do they think, and Beth said that she hereby declares her an honorary member of Beta Lambda. Welcome, holiday girl, Diana. But moments later, Diana smells something in the air and says no, she wouldn't have. She runs out of the room, telling the girls to stay back and shield their eyes. However, it is too late, as she has already seen a man turn to stone, and then realizes that the Gorgon is there. Diana then turns into Steve's room and sees that he too has been turned to stone. She follows closely behind Medusa to find her mother has also sent her guards to capture her. Diana steps out asking, the Gorgon, a war party? Has Hippolyta ordered this? And Mala tells her that she is coming with them. Any attempt to resist will be met with force. Beth calls out to Mala and the others that if they take on one of them, they're gonna take on all of the holiday girls. Mala laughs, asking, are these the women of man's world? Deformed, shrunken, bloated, confiscated cattle? Beth says that she can see there is a lot of class on Amazonia, huh? Kind of just spoiled the fantasy of it all. The military begin to flood in, and Diana asks Mala would she prefer that she trounces her in front of all of these men. Instead, Diana kneels down, telling Mala that she surrenders herself in loving submission to the will of Hippolyta. Mala tells her wait, but Diana goes on stating that by the laws of Aphrodite and Athena, she is entitled to a fair trial in her presence, a trial by truth. Now take her in chains before the queen. As Mala holds the chains around Diana, they walk out of the building, and Mala says that she stole her plane, exposed them to man's world. What did she hope to accomplish? Diana says that she was hoping to prove that the Amazons can hide no longer, that it is their duty to improve the lives of women everywhere, that the time has come to share their great culture. Back in the current times, at the trial, Hippolyta says that their culture has thrived for 3,000 years without men. They made paradise, and she brings this among them. The statue of Steve is brought out, and Diana says that she knows that no living man is permitted to stand on their soil, but if she can restore his life, will they hear him speak? Althea says that it's impossible to restore him. The purple ray has, but Hippolyta stops her, telling Diana that Althea has challenged her. Diana's chains are removed, and she's given the purple ray and says that the effects of Medusa's gaze are reversible. She has recalibrated the purple ray, setting it to the frequency of man's world. Everyone watches as Diana focuses the beam onto Steve, and she laughs as Steve shouts, coughing up stone and dirt. He says it was like she had snakes, and Diana whispers, telling him that it's good to see him again. Now she just needs his hand for a moment. She wraps the lasso around his hand, stating that the queen will ask him questions which he will be compelled to answer truthfully. Good luck. Before Steve even has a chance to ask anything, Hippolyta asks him, how did you come to Amazonia? Was it by chance or by design? Steve looks at the lasso and says that he was sent here by the government to investigate reports of the so-called ghost signal, and then he encountered an anomaly and crashed. Hippolyta tells him that it is a pity that he did not perish on their shores, but his superiors, did he tell them anything? He tells tells her, no, he lied to them, and he will lie again if he has to, but let it be known that she alerted them to their presence, not him. Hippolyta asks, why would he lie to his superiors? Is it lust? Does he lust after her daughter and wants to deceive her? Steve tells her no. He lied because, well, like a lot of people in man's world, his ancestors were enslaved and persecuted by men with far too much power. Your daughter saved my life twice, so from now on, I'm on your side. Hippolyta asks again, do you lust after Diana? And Diana pulls the lasso off of Steve, stating that is enough. Steve says that they are a walking mythology. They have a phrase back at home, way out of my league, okay? Hippolyta says, fine, it is done then. And Diana tells her that the trial is not done. She calls one last witness. Without her account, this trial is a sham. So she holds up the lasso and says that she is submitted to her sisters for the trial of truth. Yet, how is she permitted to testify when she is a doll made out of clay and given life by the gods that she has never met? Hippolyta pauses for a moment and says that she should have let him die in that cave. But now she can see that this was her intent all along, to force change upon them. Diana tells her no. Others would have come. The signal that drew the men here was her mirror. Diana wraps Hippolyta's hand in the lasso and then asks one question. What substance am I made out of? Hippolyta tries for a moment to say anything else, but then she's compelled to speak the truth. She had made a fairy tale to keep her innocent. There was no statue of clay. Is she sure that she wants to hear the truth? The truth can wound more deeply than the sharpest blade. Diana asks again, what substance is she made out of? And Hippolyta tells her, an egg from her womb. And the sea of the loins of the man god Hercules. Blended by the emboletics, seasoned by her fury, she were to be her revenge on Hercules. That his line would yield no sons, only daughters to breed and conquer and subdue man's world. Of her own anger was she born. The native Amazon bigger, combined with the blood of Hercules, would make her unbeatable. Yet also proud, rebellious, restless, his blood calls her to man's world to battle. She is made to be her weapon against man's world, a scourge, a destroyer. Instead, she was Diana. So graceful, so clever, so filled with love. But as time went on, it quenched her rage. She had lied, and it's true that she loves her more than life itself, so please embrace her. Diana stops and turns back to hug her mother, and Hippolyta goes on stating that she lied to her. To all of the Amazons, because of that, she must step down from the throne and go to man's world to die. It takes but a moment to realize what Hippolyta is doing. She is stepping down to force Diana to become queen, which will prevent her from ever leaving the island. As Hippolyta walks off, Nubia stops her, telling her, actually, that decision is not yours to make. The eternal queen serves the Amazons eternally. You are not permitted to abdicate. Diana then kneels down before the great sister and says that there are fights. She will win them, but she won't be a weapon or a warrior. Let her be more than what she was made to be. The sisters tell her that she will be as the fates of heralds, young, fierce, indomitable, and peerless, beautiful, strong, and wise, and dark, and a wonder. Diana is her name. And so, back in man's world, everyone stops to take pictures of the arrival of Diana. She tells everyone that it is time that they had a talk. And there you have it, the Wonder Woman Earth 1 storyline. Now that we have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman done, let me know in the comments down below which of these Earth 1 storylines you enjoy the most. Don't forget to follow us here on Comicstorian to get your daily comic book knowledge bomb right on you. You can follow me on Twitter where I send out single tweet reviews, and you can get my quick opinions on the comics as I read them. And you can also follow the playlist right here or right here. Thank you guys for getting us this far, and I'll see you next time right here.